Hey, Booner's questions for 2025. It's as simple as that. I've got questions for 2025. And with that, my first guy, again, I want to say, this isn't me going at this player. This is me being like, this is an open forum. This is a trust circle, correct, Klotzy?
Correct.
Okay, this is an open forum. This is a trust circle. How do we feel about this guy going into next year? Is there any worries? Is there question marks? Are we okay? Is everything going to be fine? Alim McNeill. Booner's question for 2025. The player is defensive tackle, Alim McNeill. I'm going to say this. I'm going to go into a little bit here. This man, after year 1 and year 2, and Klotz, I'm sure you agree with me, was supposed to take not even after year 1 and year 2, it was like that third year. We saw that 2023 year and the end of 2022, and everyone's like, all right, Alim's about to have a breakout year in 2024. Like, this is going to be the big year for him. He's going to get up there with some of these elite defensive tackles. He's going to go get double digits.
We were comparing it to
Matabuke. He's going to get double-digit sacks. He's going to get paid like guys like Quinnen Williams, like Cam Hayward. Like, he's going to get these big deals. Everyone's going to be like, this is one of the best defensive tackles in football. But the last 2 seasons, Klotzy, and this is where at some point you have to start questioning, the little question mark, right? This is where, hey, Booner's question for 2025. Is there a legitimate concern? I'm not saying that there is, but I'm asking the people, is there a legitimate concern? His first 2 seasons, he played in all 17 games. The last 2 seasons, 13 games, 14 games. I see already in the chat, Malik Blue said, Alim still graded out very well in PFF. Top 10, actually, Malik, in PFF. That's why we're just asking questions, and we're just kind of getting a feel for the room. What are the expectations for Alim next year? What are we going to be looking at? Because Klotz, this is where I go with it. Going into last year, there was the, expectation. Was there any, you need this from him? Maybe not. But in my opinion, when you sign a 4-year, $97 million contract, I think things change a little bit. When you become when you become the 3rd highest paid defensive tackle player at your position, things change a little bit. At that point, to me, it's the same thing, and it's the people, Klotzy, that put the same pressure on a guy like Aiden Hutchinson, who's going to be a top 3 paid defensive edge in the next year or 2. They put that pressure on him, but then when they go, hey, Alim's a top 3 paid defensive tackle, we need production, but there's no like, hey, where's the production at? Because, and I'll pull it up real quick. I took a couple notes here. You guys see there his 2023 stats, correct? 13 games, 14 games, 5 sacks, went down. He played in 1 more game and went down. I might have got the games mixed up. Actually, it could be right, Klotz. I don't know. I don't know if someone stat checked that. But either way, 5 sacks last year, 3.5 this year. The sack production was down. 43 pressures to 45. Got 2 more. 6 tackles for a loss, 7 tackles for a loss. To me, Klotz, and I'm just going to be quite frank, and I'm going to be completely honest here. I expected a lot out of Alim this year, like a lot. And especially going into the year with the $97 million contract extension and saying, hey, you're going to be a top 5 defensive tackle in the NFL. You're paid like it. We need you to be it. And his stats didn't improve at all across the board. They're essentially the exact same. You're looking at the same stats. He played it, it's basically the same amount of games because there's another injury this year. And then there's less sacks, a sack and a half less, 2 more pressures, and 1 more tackle for a loss at that position. And to me, for a while, you had Aiden Hutchinson, and he wasn't putting up numbers. For a while, you had DJ Reader, and these are still the numbers. Like, you went and got Zadarius Smith, these numbers. Like, there were factors in this where you're like, wait a second. Like, this, you had everything around you. And Ryan, sacks aren't everything, though. Like, no, they're not. But let me just, Ryan, I mean, these are the things where people start to get defensive. I see people, Malik Blue, I think he'll be fine, though. Like, yeah, I get that. The question more so to me is like, look, like, this is right in front of you with Alim. Alim is an unbelievable. He is a dog, great player, but you're paying him top 3 money at his position group. And this is the guys that he is. These are the guys that he is either right up there with, or he makes more money than this last season. And again, games played are a little different, but essentially to me, it's like you see the 3.5 sacks in 14 games, Klotzy. 40 pressures in 13, 14 games, like 3 more games added to it. What would he have? Like 50 something pressures and like 4 sacks. Like that's not a big jump. These are the people, and all the people who are defending him, these are the people that you're comparing him and he's getting paid to. Chris Jones, 88 pressures, 5 sacks. The last 2 seasons, 10.5 sacks, 15.5 sacks. Klotzy, Matabuke that we just talked about, 60 pressures, 6.5 sacks, 13 sacks the year before, 5.5 the year before. Cam Hayward, 59 sacks, 8 sacks this year, even at the age he's at. Last year he had 2, but the year before he had 10.5 and 10. Other guys who are even paid less than him. Quinnen Williams right now, 54 pressures, 6 sacks, 5.5 sacks the year before, 12 the year before, 6, 7. Jalen Carter in year 2, 75 pressures, 4.5 sacks, 6 sacks in his rookie year. Kobe Turner, Klotzy, 62 pressures, 8 sacks, 9 sacks. Braden Fisk, a rookie, 59 pressures, 8.5 sacks. Leonard Williams, 55 pressures, 11 sacks. Levi O, 47. Like, and Levi O, I threw that in there. He played in 3 more games, but like he is 47 pressures, big fella in there. Like, and then I looked at, hold on, there was one more I had. Oh, DJ Reader. I put DJ Reader in there. Played 1 more game than him and had 3 sacks. That was his career high in sack. Like, that's not his job. Like, he's not going to get the quarterback. Let's get some pressure on this pocket. So my point is, and I get the people who are like sticking up for, I think Alim's going to be fine. I just think going into this year, Klotzy, like the man, major ACL injury. He's probably not going to be ready for the start of the season. And you're paying him $97 million, and it's going to be the 3rd straight year he's probably going to miss games. He hasn't really produced sack-wise for you. And again, sacks aren't everything. Like, okay, if you're in the chat saying sacks aren't everything, let me go see some of your chats from over a year ago when you were saying Alim McNeill, double-digit sacks. Give me 8 sacks from Alim McNeill. Give me 9 sacks from Alim McNeill. Oh, wait, hey, Booner, hey, what about all the other people who get paid more or less than him up at his position that are compared to him? Oh, they're all getting 7, 8, 9 sacks a year? Like, Klotz, to me, it's like there's an expectation at that position. If you're going to get paid the 3rd most at your position, you need to produce at that level. Part of your job, Alim, is to get to the quarterback. That is part of helping this defensive line. You're not a DJ Reader where you just get pressure. You are supposed to be getting to the quarterback and making those plays. Hasn't done it the last 2 seasons, in my opinion, and you're expecting him to take that big step. Like, this is a huge question mark for me this year, and I'm going to have like what are those things called? Binoculars on Alim McNeill every single game when he gets back. Every game.
I'm with you, and that's why I was very hesitant when Alim McNeill got signed during the season the way he did, like for the amount of money, because and this is why I'm not saying Alim McNeill is going to be bad, but when you look at, he's had numerous injuries before, defensive tackle, big boy. The reason why you sign him is because you can get after the quarterback. Injuries are going to take a slight ding to that naturally. But even when Aiden Hutchinson was healthy, because that's what people are going to revert to, well, Hutch wasn't there. Alim McNeill, he was getting double teamed. When Aiden Hutchinson was healthy, Alim McNeill had 0 sacks. Aiden Hutchinson leaves the game against Dallas. Alim McNeill gets 2 sacks, then gets paid after that game. So I look at that, and that's definitely concerning because we talk about all the time how important money is to keep this team together. And you paid Alim McNeill to play like a top 5 defensive tackle, and we all know that he's not right now, but he was projected to be that. And when you're paying on projection, and now there's a torn ACL, you don't know if he's going to be fully healthy to start the year next year. But even when he does come back, he's not going to be able to just be like, okay, Alim's back. He's got to get reincorporated, and then he's got to stay healthy the rest of the regular season. So I get that you signed the contract early to kind of get ahead of schedule. But to your point, when you get signed to that contract, now there's standards. Now there's expectations that you have to meet. And you're looking at the NFC North, the NFC in general, mobile quarterbacks, Alim McNeill, huge reason that the run defense is so good. But what do we always talk about? You got to be able to bring the quarterback down. And the reason why you sign him to that amount of money is because you expect him to be in that 7 to 8 sacks a year type of range. And he's yet to do that. So I think he was paid a little early. I think he's still a really good defensive tackle, but you paid him to be a franchise type of guy. And again, he's yet to do that. So we're hoping next year can recover from a torn ACL. Tough to do. Not saying he can't do it, But if you're like locking in Alim McNeill to have a comeback season next year and is going to be dominant, happy that you can have that opinion, but you can't act like it's 100%.
You have to see it. It's
Yeah.
I think it's past the point of, and listen, these are people who tune in all the time. John Hughes. So because Alim was doing his job and Hutch was feasting, that means he wasn't good. And Ryan here, like he's had 2 injuries, ACL, MCL, where Aiden swung his leg into a similar, he's a similar position to Aiden. Like, listen, this is the thing. It's not that I'm sitting here saying Alim's not good. That's the last thing. Alim is an absolute monster. It's people in the chat or like people out there who continue like, hey, you're going to stick up for your Detroit Lions players and have all these excuses. No, like at some point you need production out of it. Like Alim, this is one of your highest paid guys, position value wise.
Yeah.
Like value wise at that position, he is 3rd in the NFL at his position pay wise. Does he give you the same production that those other guys do? Straight answer, no. He hasn't the last 2 years. He's been an absolute monster in certain spots, and you've seen like the class, what are they? The spurts of it, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. But when you
then
get
it goes
paid
away for 2-3 games.
Yes, but when you get paid that much money, that's when you're like, you need that every game. Whether, John, you have Aiden Hutchinson or not. Like, that's part of it. You have Hutch coming off the edge. It's open. It should open you up for a little bit more as well. Or even if you're getting the pressure and Hutch finishes it, like, you shouldn't have 0 sacks through the time playing with Aiden Hutchinson. That shouldn't happen. Like, it shouldn't. You shouldn't go through 14 games when you're getting paid $97 million. You're the 3rd highest defensive tackle. And like guys, like these guys at this level, and there are guys who aren't even close getting paid to him, who just minimally at that position and what he's supposed to be doing are getting 6-7 sacks a year. Like I can name them again if you guys want. Like Leonard Williams, 11, Braden Fisk, a rookie, year 1, 8.5.
They don't have a Turner. I understand they have Jordan.
Yes, but Kobe Turner, same year, 8 sacks on the same team inside. Like, these are guys who are playing defensive tackle together, and they're getting 8.5. And it's like, you need that. If you're going to get paid that much money, you bring that production. And there's no more like an excuse or this or that. Oh, my gosh, he was so close. Look at those pressures. Look at that. It's the same expectation. And Klotz, I think you know who I'm talking about. But the people who a year ago were going at Aiden Hutchinson, oh, he's getting all these pressures. That's cute. When is it going to turn into sacks? It means nothing if it's not sacks. It's the same thing with Alim McNeill. And you can't say yes, great run stopper. One of the best in the league. Him and DJ, that's one of the advantages of having him. But when you're talking about pass rush, something that you've struggled with year after year, and that's what's killing you in the playoffs, and that's what's killing you in big games, that's where the problem gets to. And that's where you start looking at it and going, hey, that's not a DJ Reader skill. That's your defense attack. That's an Alim McNeill thing. You're supposed to be getting 6, 7, 8 sacks out of him. You got 3.5 in 14 games. You can't say, oh, he missed 3. He was getting 1 more sack in 3 games. So he's at 4.5. You need 7, 8 out of this guy to be able to make it worth the $97 million, in my opinion.
Yeah. And
it's a lot of money, Klotz.
That's what I'm saying. Like, people can be upset, but if you see that the Green Bay Packers were assigned a defensive tackle to that, and you were to see his production and his injury history, you would be kind of like, what are the Packers doing a little bit? So to be able not to shine that light on your own team that you support, you can do it, but to your point, Booner's blinders a little bit.
This is exactly what I'm talking about with some Lions fans who literally see gold when they see everything. This is why hey, do you want to win football games and be a Super Bowl champion? Everything isn't perfect. He said Brad is not as revered as GM as you guys think, and Alim is not as good as a pick. Buddy, that's the farthest thing that anyone's saying. We're saying we think Alim McNeill is that good. Brad picked him and found a gem, but the production has to come with it. The injuries have to stop. You have to stay healthy for 17 games, and you have to get the production. Stop being a slappy. Stop being one of those guys that has blinders on, and you try and stick up for every single thing that the Lions do, and start being realistic. Hey, where can we get better at? Like, you go through everyday life being like, everything's great. Like, no, there are things you need to get better at and learn and kind of improve. This is a thing with Alim. Hey, you've got to start seeing some production if you're going to get paid that much. Sorry, Klotzy. Those comments frustrate me a little bit. Like, what are you talking about here?
Brian Walsh.
Yeah, Brian Walsh.
You're damn right.
Yeah, hey, Brian. Hey,
Everybody's
those are
entitled to
guys who
opinion.
no one can do wrong in this world.
No.
Philly said, "How do you stop
Those
injuries,
Brad
Booner?"
Holmes at all
I don't
costs.
know, but that's part of the game to where when you pay guys, like, you're risking injury. But again, it's like you ask guys to be healthy, right? Like, knees are knees, like, it happens. At that point, it's like you're just not getting the $97 million in production that you wanted. Like,
Yeah.
you can say it's like, hey, we can be realistic. John, I would love for you. I mean, you know what? I could probably go back to our old shows and you're commenting. What was your expectation for sack wise for Alim last year? 85, 90% of you all in the chat said over 8 sacks last year. I know that for a fact. Every single radio station and network here in Detroit said over 8 sacks this year. He played in 14 games and got a $97 million extension and had 3.5 sacks. So was that the bet? Are you guys all right now in the chat telling me to my face that was a great and unbelievable year and worth all of that money?
No, can't. It's like
Case
saying
closed.
you buy. Let's take the million. Let's change it to 1,000. Let's say you pay $97,000 for a car, Boone. Okay, you're expecting to have it for the next 4 to 5 years, and in that first year,
Breaks
with
down.
that car on that lease, oh shit, check engine light, needs brakes, needs this. You get it back, get it out the shop. You expect it to be great the next year. But is there any guarantee? No. And if you don't get it, you're going to be pretty mad because it's a nice car, but it only fucking works so often. And at the end of the day, good car, not a good investment. And I think that's a fair point to bring up. Like, this is a business at the end of the day. Brad Holmes, he's got to sign these guys. He's got to make these type of moves, but he's not always going to hit exactly on the amount that he's giving. So he's going to miss some. Not saying that Alim is not a guy that you should have kept in Detroit. Like, I'm happy Alim's here. But to a 4-year, $97 million, you're rolling the dice a little bit. And with rolling the dice, there's going to be some risk. We saw the negative of it, but hopefully next year you can see the positive.
See more. Again,
$97 million.
I just want to make this clear, too. I don't think, like someone said in there, too, like, he was still good when he played. Like, yeah, he had 45. Like, he was good at. To me, it's just more so production. Like, we're all complaining this offseason about not getting to the quarterback and getting sacks enough. Like, hey, Alim was there for 14 games, and I know there were some injuries, but like, if Alim's out there getting 7-8 sacks, and you bring in another edge rusher in Za'Darius, and he's getting 7-8, and then you have Hutch with 15. Like, what are we talking about, guys? Like, I don't know why people don't hold some guys to higher expectations. Like, I'm sure if I sat down with Alim, and hopefully we're able to meet him here in the offseason, but like, I'm sure if I asked him too, like, hey, was last year, like, did you feel like you could have played better? I'm sure he would be like, yeah, I had 3.5 sacks, 7 like, I could have had 10 and 8 sacks. Like, he knows it. And I think, like, it's realistic. It's being like, hey, could have been better. So,
hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, officialctsports.com.